Hello my friends, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at HTMX. You've probably heard about HTMX already by now, but if you haven't, it is, how should I describe it succinctly? It is a lightweight JavaScript library that you can use to enhance your HTML templates to provide high fidelity, interactive web user experiences. And for me, what makes this really exciting is that it allows you to produce these experiences without having to commit to a big, heavy, single-page application JavaScript framework. And also because you're going to be operating on HTML templates, it's really programming language agnostic. So you can write your backend in your language of choice, and yeah, you get all of the benefits of a very tightly integrated, interactive user experience without any of the headaches of the greater JavaScript ecosystem. So today I'm not just going to be talking about HTMX, I'm going to actually show you how I used HTMX to implement a feature on a website that I build and maintain called Notado. I do recommend that everybody follow the htmx.org Twitter account. It is very funny, but not just funny, it's also very insightful. And I think that the aggression that we see from quote-unquote BigJS towards HTMX is very, very telling. I really like this little poem on the profile. Rest, it never die. HTMX is my favorite guy. And HTMX, I believe, stands for Hypermedia as the engine of application state, which is basically the HTMX philosophy. Alright, so to get started, let me just say a couple of words about Notado before I show you the actual application. Notado is a content-first bookmarking service, and if you've used services like Pinboard, Instapaper, Readwise, maybe you'll kind of have an idea of what this is all about. Unlike those services, however, the approach taken in the data model is to treat content as a first-class citizen and not just URLs. And so what makes this really useful for me in my personal use cases, I love to save comments, right? Like I read an article, then I go and read comments on Hacker News, on Reddit, on Lobsters, on Tildas, and I like to keep these things together in my library. So, I have my highlights from an article, I also have commentary on other people from the same article, and it's kept in the same space, and it works well because of the data model, because the comments from the different websites, from the different URLs can be grouped together with what they're referring to. And there are a bunch of very nice features that you can look through at your own leisure, importing, integrations, some very nice quality of life features around tagging, where you can automatically tag content based on the URL, the content, the title, shorthand aliases that are useful for when you're importing Kindle highlights, etc. So that is Notado in a nutshell. So why don't we go over now to the actual application. So this is Notado logged in. This is my own personal account. And the feature which I used HTMX to develop was the search as you type feature. So if I type in expert, you can see that the view has changed I'm now seeing notes and content that I have saved with the word expert fuzzy searched. But you see here that the URL hasn't changed. It hasn't forced an entire page reload. And it's very comparable to the sort of experience that you would expect from a single page application built with React or Angular or Vue or any of those BigJS frameworks. And similarly, when I remove the search query, I end up back in my home timeline. So we can take a look at what is happening here with the network requests, right? So I'll search for expert. I can see here that triggered a GET request to the search endpoint with a query containing whatever it is that we want to search for. If we dig in a little bit deeper and look at the response is just plain old HTML. And what's happening here is this HTML that is being returned is replacing a specific part of the DOM. So maybe we can bring this out a little bit. We have all of the notes here, right? So this is the notes div. And the first ID here is EBF22. So if I now remove, actually no, it does work. All right. Just need to, there we go. I don't usually spend a lot of time in the developer tools, and also I have made it bigger so it's easier to see, but here we go. We have it all on one line, right? So let's say this first entry is ECBF whatever, and then I can go here and type expert again, and you can see that this has changed, right? And we have new notes, and it's just replaced whatever HTML was under this node with the HTML that was returned. So with that little demonstration out of the way, I thought we could take a look at how this is implemented in the Notado codebase. Just as a little bit of background, Notado is built in Rust using the Rocket web framework and the Terra templating engine. Here on the left, we have the template, the HTML template for this page that we're looking at here, and the div with the ID notes that we just saw here, that is right here. This part here where we do the searching is actually in the header. So we can go over to the header and we can find the search input. Now on this input form, all I had to change, really, or not even change, I added these three attributes. So previously the way this worked was you would type in your search query and then you would hit enter, and then it would reload the page with the search results. So first thing I did, I didn't actually want to go and do a full refactor, I just wanted to add on top of what I already had. So I added this on key down, which basically disables, hitting return to enter. And then I added these three attributes after looking at the documents. So why don't we go ahead and look at the documentation for these three things. Yeah, let's start with HX trigger, because this is actually where I got the idea when I was reading through the documentation and trying to get a feel for HTMX. So if you see, here is an example of a search box that searches on key up, but only if the search value has changed and the user hasn't typed anything new for 1 second. So you have an input element here. You have HX get, which is gonna send a GET request to this endpoint with the query, and this GET request is going to be triggered when there is a key up event, when the content has changed, and when nothing new has been typed for 1 second. And so this is a very nice little mechanism which ensures that you're not going to be overloading your servers by searching on every single keystroke. The last thing here, HX target, is telling us that whatever HTML is returned from this endpoint, replace the HTML underneath this node with those results from that endpoint. So the documentation here is very good. We can look for key up. Here is, there's the key up example. Where is the changed example? Here, change. The event will only change if the value of the element has changed. So there is a little thing that you need to pay attention here that changes the name of the event, and changed is the name of the modifier that you need to put on. And then delay. A delay will occur before an event triggers a request. If the event is seen again, it will reset the delay. And like that's pretty nice. You know, it's a little bit different if you're used to BigJS, but I think it's very intuitive for people who are used to writing HTML templates. And so the docs for the others, HX target is, you know, it just finds based on the ID, but you can get a little bit more specific with your targeting if you need to, with the various attributes and possibilities made available with HX target. And the last one here is HX get, pretty self-explanatory. So that is a quick explanation of these three things that I added in order to get the get request working when words are typed here. And we can take a quick look over at the Rust. So here we have a get handler for search with a query parameter that is going to be a string. There are some other things here, like we require a database connection and we require the user to be authenticated. Anyway, it goes through, it does some database calls, and in the end we populate a search template context which contains the relevant notes, contains the query, and this one also tells us which nav page we're on, like up here. But the template that we render is this search target template, and we have this open here. Now this code may look similar to you because it is the exact code that is under div ID notes in the home template. Literally just lifted and copied and pasted this to put into here, and these notes will get populated by the results of that search query, which is what gives us this end behavior. So I think in terms of implementation, this is incredibly simple. You know, if you are primarily a backend developer who is comfortable with HTML templates, who does not want to have to go through the hassle of creating a REST API that needs to be consumed by a front end, which you then need to write a client library for, and then of course you have to spin up a whole single page application framework project, and just, you know, it's insanity. I think that the SPA ecosystem in general right now is just insanity, which is what makes HTMX such a breath of fresh air. If you also have an application that you would like to add a little search as you type feature to, filter as you type feature to that requires some backend lookup. Now you know how to do it nice and easily with HTMX. It just requires a couple of extra attributes on your inputs. Before I go, I want to direct you guys to my software development feed, which is powered through Notado. So the way this works is I save a whole bunch of stuff, and then based on these tags, the majority of which get automatically added, this feed gets populated, and it's published as both as HTML and as an RSS feed. And if you subscribe to this, you can keep up to date with what I'm reading with regards to software development, what I find interesting, and what is leading me to, these technologies that I'm making videos about, like HTMX, like NixOS, like Rust, all of the good stuff, And of course, if you have your own Notado account, it's super easy to set up your own feeds as well if you would also like to publish and share more widely. Actually, if you come to my website, I have this recent highlights section, and this is all powered by Notado feeds. I actually have a video about this on the channel that I will link in the description, how you can have these dynamically updating feeds on your statically generated website. But anyway, that's a whole different thing that we don't need to get into right now. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something from this video, if you're happy that I made a video about HTMX, please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel. I hope that whatever you all do today, you have a great day. Free Palestine, and I'll see you all back here next time.